Hi, my name is Jose Hafaji and my uni ID number is U1905912, and the athlete that I'll be talking about is Kylian Mbappe, who was born on December 20th, 1998. His height is 1.78 meters and he weighs about 73 kg. The sport that he partakes in is football and is notably in the left wing, the right wing, as well as striker for PSG and France. Football is a high intense sport which lasts 90 minutes and requires several skills such as agility, speed, power, cardiovascular endurance, and flexibility. These skills need to be executed at the highest level to gain the upper hand against his opponents. The demand for the sport is high as he plays at the highest standard against the best defenders in the world. Because Mbappe is an attacking player, he will conserve his energy, so when it is called upon, it is like a short, sharp burst, which is also known as the anaerobic energy system. For example, when he's on the left wing, cutting in on his right foot, he would then need a short, sharp burst of energy to get the upper hand against the right back. And with this being said, he also needs the aerobic energy system because football lasts 90 minutes, so he needs to withstand the 90 minutes without fatiguing, as well as pressing the opposition when they have the ball. Prior to this video, we have conducted some background tests to get a clearer understanding and have concluded that he has got good levels of speed, agility and cardiovascular endurance. However, he has room for two improvements, which are flexibility and power in his legs. Injury prevention is the way the therapist and the athlete work together to prevent injury happening or reoccurring. Injury prevention is important in a workout plan as it would reassure the athlete so when Mbappe goes onto the pitch, the risk of muscle or joint injury is minimal. Dynamic stretching and yoga in a warm-up can help prevent injury as it would increase the synovial fluid at the joint, which increases range of motion, which is good for Mbappe as he's recovering from an ACL injury. The injury that he's suffering from is of course an ACL injury, which is located on the anterior aspect of the knee. The functional movement screening is made up of 7 multi-joint movement patterns designed to assess and rate functional movement by incorporating upper and lower body extremity sequence movements. This requires concurrent coordination of both stability and movement in the trunk and the pelvis. Functional movement screening is a process that gives the therapist an idea of the functional capacity of Mbappe, which may or may not indicate certain things. For example, a squat. If he isn't able to go low enough in the squat whilst keeping his back upright, then it could indicate that his stance might need to be widened or there's a lack of knee flexion. From the results, the therapist can prescribe exercises to enhance flexion at the knee, which then would be encouraging for him as it would allow him to go lower in the squat, which then increases power. In the next clip, we'll have the athlete doing a squat from the anterior view as well as a lateral view, and we're just looking for indifferences in these squats. As he does 3 reps, we're just looking for any indifferences. For example, at the start, his stance should be shoulder width, and then the bar should be on the head with the elbow and the wrist in line. And from there, you just extend the bar up, and then you go as deep as you can into the squat. You hold the bottom phase position, and then you slowly come back up. And then from then, we'll just give him a grade between 0 and 3. A warm-up is a structured routine which aims to prepare athletes for the session at hand. The idea of a warm-up is utilizing passive warming techniques to maintain core and muscle temperature throughout the transition phase, which is the phase between the completion of the warm-up and the start of the event. Both passive and active warm-up can evoke temperature, metabolic, neural, and psychology-related effects, including increased anaerobic metabolism and elevated oxygen uptake. Active warm-up induces greater metabolic changes, which lead to an increase in the preparedness for the subsequent exercise task. The exercise that I've chosen for Mbappe to do in this part of the video are lunges. The reason I've chosen lunges is purely because lunges target the muscle groups in your lower body, which also boosts metabolism. Lunges work on the shape and strengthen your lower body, but not only does it strengthen your lower body, but it also works on your flexibility in the flexor muscles, which are normally ignored in other forms of workout. This and a sedentary lifestyle are the reasons why these parts of the body are become tight. So by doing lunges, it increases flexibility in the hips and also in the knees, which will improve Mbappe's flexibility, which will then reduce the chances of injury. So when he goes out to perform, he wouldn't be thinking about getting injured. He can just perform. He can just focus on the task at hand, which is to score goals, help the team out, and defenders also. There are 5 key points to when performing a lunge. Ensuring you stand straight, keep your upper body straight, shoulders relaxed, and chin up. Number 2, keep one leg forward, lower your hips till both knees are at 90 degrees. Make sure that your knee and the ankles are in line. Number 3 is make sure the other knee does not touch the floor. Number 4 is keep your body weight on your heels. And number 5 is do the lunge and repeat it with the other foot. In the next video, we'll have Mbappe doing body weight lunges as well as a resisted lunge. I progressed it to a resisted lunge by adding 10 kg, but you can also progress the exercise by adding a jump in between the lunges. So in between when he switches foot, he can also add a jump, which will then increase the power in his lower body, which is something that we're looking to work on as well. So to conclude this whole video workbook analysis for Mbappe, we're literally just going to talk about what we done and how we started and how we went about things. We literally started off by diagnosing the athlete, seeing what he was good at, seeing what he needed to improve on. We came to an understanding of what the sport is about, the demands of the sport, how intense he has to play. So we also spoke about injury prevention and why that's important. And the reason that is important is because to injury prevent is one thing, but to implement it into a training program is another thing. And the way that you implement it in a training program is literally strengthening the joints that he uses the most in terms of football. So his ankles, hips, knees will primarily use the most. So we worked to choose some exercises that targeted those 3 joints. So because injury prevention is something that could reassure an athlete. So when Mbappe goes out to play tomorrow or next week, whenever he's back from injury, he wouldn't think about twisting his ACL or doing his ACL again, because in the rehab process we would have worked to strengthen that ACL again to try get it back to how it was prior to the injury. And after that, we done the functional movement screening test, which we made him do a squat. From then, the therapist myself would look for any abnormalities, for example, a reduction in knee flexion or his legs coming outwards as he's going down, and then we'll look to fix that. After that, we moved on to the warm-up, and in the warm-up we made it sport-specific but also injury-specific. For example, we done the one-legged jumps, which targeted power in the legs. We also done high knees, which slightly matched the intensity of the games, and we also implemented some ball control work, which then got Mbappe comfortable with the ball at his feet. From then, we moved on to the specific exercise that we chose, and the exercise that I chose was lunges. And the reason for lunges is that it targets the lower body, not only the knees and the ankles, but also targets the hips, and it opens up the hips and allows for more flexibility and range of motion to be going on. By increasing range of motion, it allows Mbappe to do these short, sharp energy bursts that he needs to be doing to go score a goal or come back and track back and defend and help the team.